evening. It's a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time to speak to me. How are
Hi,
you today?
I'm good, mate. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it.
Busy day?
Yeah. I mean, we work a full-time job, and then you got to try and get some exercise in, and then you got a series of interviews in the evening. Like, I love it. I love being busy, but it's one of these things where you're like, whew, yeah, but the album comes out next week, so it's high stress, but I that's an environment I feel like I thrive in.
It's part of it. The build isn't there now. It's just it can be such a long process, but so much to do.
Yeah.
Um, that yeah, spinning all those plates. If you're managing to do it okay, then I guess everything's going well. But speaking of this week specifically, what right now then, considering how close we are to the album release, what particular thing within the band, as from a band perspective, is keeping you busy right now? Is it just interviews and press and stuff like that?
Well, so it's a lot of stuff. Like we've got, I mean, okay, so we're 10 days out from the album coming out, so it's content every day. What are we posting? What's coming out? How do we need to engage people? Did the last video land well with people? And you're constantly evaluating the kind of content that you're putting out to make sure that it's continuously resonating. Like, you don't want to overuse a song on social media to people are like, oh, I keep hearing that same one, I'm bored of it. And then it's like, well, it's logistics. Like, right, what are we doing on album day? I've our pre-order merch order lands tomorrow.
Mhm.
It's coming to my house. If I could spin my camera around, the amount of boxes I currently have in this room, I don't know how I'm going to get in and out by the end of the week. So I'm just like stacking up on like vinyl boxes to send worldwide. And yeah, so there's that. And then we've got logistics. We're off to the Netherlands on the 8th of June. And then on the 12th of June, we fly out to America. So it's like,
Bugger, I think I've
I'm a
lost you
I'm a
there.
I'm a very do person. So when something comes into my mind, I'm like, this needs to get done. So I start delegating work, and I'm like, let's go. Can you do this? Let's do this. So yeah, a lot's going on.
A lot is going on, and it is, of course, all leading to the build for the release of this new album. We are, of course, talking about This Pain Will Serve You, May 16th, 2025, via Facedown Records. While my review isn't officially out yet, so I don't want to go into too much detail, what an absolutely stunning release this is. And this long and winding road to release for all this work is going to be so worth it when people get to hear it in full, because they can hear a single and they can enjoy that and they can feel it and they can connect to it. But hearing a thing in full is a totally different thing. Have you been enjoying the build for the most part, even with all the work? Have you been enjoying it? And what have been some of your favorite things about the build?
Do you know? I love it. Like, I say to the guys on a constant basis, like, I don't feel emotional stress, but my body manifests stress by like waking up super early, and like it'd be the middle of the night, and because you've just said, like, our record label Facedown is based in the US. Our
Mm.
management's based in the US. We've got booking agents in Australia, so I'm constantly back and forth with multiple different people at different times of the day, and then on top of that, you're juggling a full-time job as well. So it's like, oh, okay, I've got to go into work mode now, 8 hours, and then you're like, right, okay, now it's band stuff. So, do you know, the process of releasing music is the most exciting thing I think I've ever done in my entire life. The the anxiousness, like the nerves and excitement the day before a release or the week before a release is like, oh, like I can't wait for this to be out, and then you kind of go through the rigmarole of, oh, is it going to resonate? Are people going to like it? You know, there's a couple of controversial songs. Well, one of the tracks, Hail Mary, which we released last year, was very controversial for some people. Personally, I didn't see the controversiality because it was very, child abuse is wrong, so therefore do not do it, and call
Mm.
out the people that do it. But it's amazing the people that tried to overlook it and looked at it as a bashing on Catholicism, which it absolutely wasn't. So you're then trying to deal with that, and you're like, well, I love this, and I love being like working at this level where I'm constantly thinking about the next thing and working towards it, whilst also trying to lament and enjoy what's going on right now. So yeah, there's a lot. To pick one thing out, I think, is when someone messages you and says, "Man, that song, like those lyrics, like they really hit with me." We genuinely, like 2 days ago, a chap messaged the band page and said, I just been listening to your latest single, Noble Bloom, and I lost my grandmother to brain cancer this time last year, and it's really helping me." And I messaged him back and said, "Well, actually, this is written about our guitarist mother, who sadly passed away last year from brain cancer. So, you are in the same position as that he is right now. And, it's a very sad position to be in, but I'm so happy that you're able to take something from the music and I guess, resonate with it and share that experience with you, with each other."
It is incredible, isn't it? It's such a rare thing. You would think and expect almost to some degree that it should happen more, but it actually rarely does to that
Yeah.
extent anyway.
Yeah, completely. And this is the thing. It's like, when you talk about like your emotions, and we're men, we're supposed to be big, tough, burly men, and we're supposed to swallow our feelings and just suck it up. And it's like, no, lads, let's sit down, let's talk about this. And like, how are you doing? If you're able to talk about it, you're able to grow and become a stronger person from the pain that you experience. And that's essentially where the album title has come from, is that people go through horrible things, and you can let it consume you, and you can be completely defeated by it, or you can use it as a foundation to elevate your strength and become more resilient and a stronger person in the future. And I guess that's the kind of message that I really want to push, is that you're not alone, and through shared experience you can grow, and talking to people and building a community. So yeah, it's certainly it's hard because there are so many people who suffer in silence.
Hmm. It's true. I want to go back to something, pick up on something you said about your sort of stress level. Someone's manifesting in a more
Yeah,
physical sense, in that it might wake you up in the middle of the night because
yeah.
the connection with America and all that. How do you how do you get a balance right though for like taking yourself out of moments like de-stressing, so to speak, and kind of looking after yourself? Because after a while, that will surely take a toll, right?
Yeah, it does. Like, I'm a very good napper, mate. Let me tell you, I'm very good at power napping. I think it comes from years of like trundling in the back of a van to a venue 8 or 9 hours away, and you're like, you can get sleep wherever you can. I mean, I look after myself very well. I eat very well. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. I don't take any drugs. And I exercise every day. So I look after myself very well. And I decompress by
Mm.
playing Xbox and painting little plastic men from Warhammer and stuff like that. I find my ways of doing stuff that allows me the space to kind of go, okay, this time I need to take for myself, because
Mhm.
I will be all consumed by this process. But yeah, like there are some days where you wake up and go, I am so tired because all I've done is think about you know this thing that I haven't done yet, that is utterly critical in the middle of the night. But then when you wake up and you kind of go, no, actually, it really wasn't as big as I made it out to be. So yeah, there's always something to do.
That's the fact of it, isn't it? And it always will be. Even when the album is released, the work doesn't stop. It just continues into something else. And as long as you want to do this and you feel capable of doing it, long may that continue. But it is great to hear that you do have ways to, whether it be, say, playing Xbox, doing what was it, tabletop gaming, right? Or
Yeah,
just
yeah. Well, I've
yeah.
only just got back into it recently, so it's 22 years of not painting Warhammer, and Space Marine 2 came out on my Xbox last year, and I was like, oh, I remember this when I was, and then suddenly, next thing you know, I'm stood in the Warhammer shop going, if I can get one more figure, and then suddenly, next thing you know, I'm looking at 200 quid airbrushes and what they call it, plastic crack is what they call it.
Okay.
So but yeah, so I guess that rather than doing drugs and being down the pub, I'm painting a little plastic name.
We all have our vices.
Yeah.
Overall, though, there has been an incredibly positive response to the songs that are out there already. People comments whether they're connecting to it at a personal level or just really just enjoying the music. It's been mostly very positive across the board. Seeing that for each release and it coming your way, has that started to ease your mind about how the full album might be received?
It certainly does, because we've put more dynamics into this record than we have done any other release in the past. I was describing this the other day. I said, when you listen to bands like A Day to Remember, like you hear, your big pop punk bangers, your big sing-alongs, and then you're in and they're doing an acoustic song, and then suddenly you've got that real bouncy, like just feel good, and then suddenly they're the heaviest song you've ever heard in your life, all on one record. So why can't we do something like that? Why can't we showcase our influences and what we really enjoy as musicians? Because I find that sometimes when you're listening to a record, and I'm guilty of this now, I get a couple of songs in, I'm like, oh, okay, this is what this record is going to sound like, and then I'll move on. And so it's like, well, how can we tease the ear of the listener? How can we give them something different and really appease what we want to do as musicians? Like, we could just write the same 11 songs over and over again, but that's boring. That's boring for us, and it's if it's boring for us, imagine how people feel. So the song that opens the record, Starve, is 2 minutes long. There's not a single sung line in it. It is balls to the wall, super, super heavy. And it's just so aggressive. And then midway through the record, there's a song with no screaming on it whatsoever, called The Love You Left Behind. And you put those two on, back to back, and you're going to be going, what on earth has happened here? So, I'm very excited for people to hear what we've done. But also, it's certainly it's pushed us, because we've gone down this road of, well, let's evolve, let's show progression, and really lean into the things that we enjoy as musicians and be listening to. Because you've got 4 people in the band who listen to multiple different things, so let's really kind of like sprinkle it across. So yeah, I'm very encouraged by what we've seen so far.
Good, because as I said already, it really, really is a fabulous record. I could pick so many words to describe it, but I'm glad you used one yourself, because it's one that I immediately want to start with. It's varied. The variety on this record is incredible, but it's also powerful, emotional. It's an album you feel, and it's very clear that anyone that hears it, you poured a hell of a lot of yourselves into this record. But we kind of got to go back, and it's to the earliest point, roughly. The vision you had when you thought, okay, this is the new album. Did you have a clear idea of what you wanted to do?
Yeah, from the get go. And I think when you've been like doing this for a little while, like I remember sitting down with the guys and saying, well, we talk about the variety, and I said, look, you listen to our last record, it landed really well and it was great, and I'm so proud of it. Like, we charted on the Billboard charts in 4 different charts, and it's like it took us to America twice. I'm just blown away. And it's like, well, we did a lot on that record, and we showcased what we can do, but why can't we go further? And I remember saying to the guys, like, I don't write the guitars, but it was very much like, one, modernization needs to be in there. Like, when you hear riffs from 2008, you know that that's a 2008 riff. So what can we do to modernize our sound but still sound like us? And then at the same time, like, lean further into the extremes of our band, like the heavy side, but also the melodic side. Like, I think we write great choruses, and I think we write great melodic sections. So okay, let's string this out over a whole song and see how we can really embed it. And it was a dogmatic approach to, no, this, if we're gonna come in with an emotional song, let's make it emotional. Let's draw out the bits that you be nice clean guitars, and then suddenly it'd be straight into a breakdown. So no, it doesn't need it. It doesn't need it. So I spent a lot of time in the studio restructuring some of our songs, and adding a lot of like production elements with our producer, and just taking it up to that next level. So we've been writing this record for nigh on 12 months now. So the process started, maybe a bit longer. No, yeah. It roughly started in sort of January 2024. So it's been about 12 months of writing it, and it's taken us a long time, but I'm very proud of where it is, because I've had a very clear vision of what I wanted it to be from the get-go.
Vision. I mean, it's great that you had a clear vision, because very few do, and particularly in the music world, and particularly when you're experimenting at those early stages. But obviously, as you can start to work and you start getting ideas and you start looking at what that means, the direction can head off in different ways. Did you feel in control as songs were coming together, as an album was coming together? Did you feel like your vision was being realized?
Yeah, it was certainly like it was feel uncomfortable, like feel comfortable being uncomfortable. It was the kind of motto around it. It was like this, we had these like slower, like I'll use like Still Haunted as an example. And it was like, right, the first time we've really sung in verses, like, this is, for me, coming to the studio, like, I write these melodies and I'm like, there's one thing, writing the melody in this room here, singing into my microphone, then stepping into the studio and being like, no, this needs to evolve. We need to, and I'd always go back onto if it doesn't work as a melody, we'll just scream it. And then it was like, no. This has to be the way that I envisaged it. And then, Still Haunted's come out, and it's been the most successful song that we have released so far. And it's like, what? It's like shot right up, and we were blessed to have like Holy Name and Heal the Hurt on it as well, and that's elevated it further. So we've played it, I think, we've only played it once live so far, when we were in Sweden. There were people already singing the words, and we're like in another country, and the first time we've ever been to Sweden, and it's like, okay, so this one has landed really, really well. So yeah, and then Noble Bloom came out, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago now. Again, streaming numbers have absolutely shot up, and it's like, wow, okay, these are really starting to land very well as songs. And the people that, like you're saying, the comments online, the stories people are sharing, like, we read every comment. If anyone tells you they don't, they're lying, because it's, you read the negative ones, you read the the positive ones, you'll take everything to heart. But luckily, you're skimming through it and you're like, oh, man, there aren't many negative, if any at all, which is crazy in this world, because most people, when they comment something negative.
You almost want a negative one to just jump out at you, right? Just to a degree, just so it feels more real momentarily.
Yeah. Like, why isn't somebody hating on this?
Yeah. There's plenty of time. Give them time. Someone eventually
Yeah,
come along.
exactly. Yeah.
I think part of the reason why there's so much love out there is because of how people are connecting to it. Even not necessarily every particular song so far, but there will be a track that everybody will feel in some way or another, even if it's not directly personal. But that's clearly because obviously you tapped into so many personal areas within yourselves. How important was it for you as a group to connect on this level, to go deep into your emotions and expose yourself in this way?
I think for me it's the most important thing, because I feel like it's genuine. Because I'm a very I'm a very emotional person, just generally. Like I enjoy talking openly about how I feel about stuff, and I think it's very peculiar for a guy to do that. Um, and I think for me, if I feel comfortable doing it, then I want other people to feel comfortable doing it, because that way we can prevent loneliness. We can prevent people, feeling down about themselves, and they can come to a show and share their experiences with us. And I want people to be able to do that. I want people to know that this is real, and this is how I feel, and this is how we feel as musicians, and know that the old cliche, you're not alone. Well, you're not, mate. Like, everyone goes through these things, and at the time you can feel completely isolated, but the most important thing is to not isolate yourself when these things happen. And it takes a lot of bravery to be able to talk about your emotions, because you wear your heart on your sleeve, and if it's not received the way that you want it to be received, it can shut you off further. So I listen, I love ignorant metal. I love it. I love caveman stomping. I love barking. I love just pure aggression and hate-filled music. Like, I'd stick a track on and I'm like, oh yeah, this, I just want to. But the songs that stay with me are the ones that are true and honest, and I'll keep coming back to, and I'll sing along, because I know that person has poured everything that they feel into this track. And maybe that's just me as a singer, maybe that's just me as a lyricist, but that's what really gets me going. And I've found over the years, the ones that are most honest, I think about bands like Being as an Ocean, and he's Joel from Being as an Ocean is just the most beautiful human when he does his singing and his spoken word over this, like, tremendously aggressive music. And it's like, wow, okay, and I draw a lot of the influence from people who are as honest as that.
It's difficult, that's the fact of the matter. Your ability to be so honest, to open up and express yourself in such a way is comforting. You're absolutely right, but it's so difficult for so many others to do that. So I guess if anybody listens and enjoys your music and finds a way to then, speak up, or maybe to open up a bit more, then there's nothing better than that, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, again, like I said, the album title is exactly what it says. It is like, if you allow this so if you can overcome this pain, this place you are right now, you are going to be stronger tomorrow. You are going to feel, and we've all been there. We've all been the lowest we've ever been, and it's like, we've all said at some point, like, it would be better if I was not here. Well, I tell you now, the world would not be better if you weren't here. So if you can get over this, or if you can make it to tomorrow, you're already stronger. You are already better. And I know that's helped me in the past, and if it's helped me, then hopefully it can help somebody else open up and talk to somebody. And we go through grief, we go through horrendous experiences within our lives, and there are loads of people out there to talk to and share these experiences. And some people do it through music, and they connect that way, and they turn up to shows. I constantly see memes online of like, our therapy costs $100 an hour, £100 an hour. Going to a show costs 12 quid, and it's like, yeah, and you're like, you can scream your emotions into the air. Fundamentally, metal music is so dumb. It's low-tuned guitars and people yelling at each other about how sad we feel. So if we can create an environment that draws people in, that share that experience, that's what I'm about.
Mm. Did you find yourself quite challenged on this record, when it comes to the lyric side of things? Did you find yourself pushing yourself in ways that you perhaps hadn't before?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll lean specifically on the two singles that we've just released, "Still Haunted" and "Noble Bloom." So,
Mm.
"Still Haunted" is about very, very close friend of mine who lost his partner to suicide, and I saw him go through fundamentally the hardest thing that he will ever have to go through in his entire life, and he's come out the other side of it, and he's come out stronger. and I have nothing but adoration and love for him, to see where he was and where he is now. And I'm so I'm so proud of him. And Noble Bloom is the same thing. It's like Jack, our guitarist, lost his mother last year to cancer, and it was a very short battle, like 4 months. Um, and some of these songs like evolved over that period of time to be like, well, actually, I want to write about this because this is happening right now. And the lyrics for Noble Bloom came from Jack initially.
Mm.
And I said to him, I said, I want to write about your mum and kind of give her a legacy to go by. And I know we want to kind of immortalize this in music. And I know that's what, if this is what you want to do. And he was like, absolutely. And he was like, I've written some things here. And he kind of just did a brain dump on a message to me. And then I started to pull it apart and kind of create a bit of a format. And then that evolved into something else where I started to add like metaphors in and create a bit more of a story around it. So the initial feelings are directly from Jack, and it's the same as Still Haunted. The Still Haunted is a direct storytelling of what happened to my friend and what he explained to me. So these are genuine experiences that people have, our friends have had written. And I remember being in the studio writing Noble Bloom and saying, I don't know if I can sing this line because it is too much. And it's I think there were two lines. So the middle eight, where it's dead silence, no beat in your heart. I watch the petals fall as we drift apart. And then I'm trying to remember the other line. Death looms in a silent room. Your presence wanes, a fading bloom, and and it's just like, whoa, this is like so on the nose of what is happening right now. And at this point, his mum was still alive. He was still going through this process. And I was like, listen, I've recorded this. How do you feel? And he was like, yeah, this is great. So, we're in the studio, like, welling up, kind of writing this song about somebody who's still alive. But, unfortunately is no longer with us anymore. So the raw emotion we kind of put into the song is a snapshot of that point in time, that anger and that denial of what was going on. And I think to capture it is so completely unique, because it was just what he was going through. And I look at him now and I'm like, oh, you have to play that every night. And I can't imagine. I step off stage and go, I'm so proud of you, because this is about the most traumatic experience you have ever been through in your entire life. And I can't look at anything. I can't see anything but pride from me to you now. It's very raw, and when you kind of talk about it, you get a little bit cotton-mouthed and tongue-tied, and you're like, because it's still, it hasn't even been a year. So yeah, it's one of these things where it's just I'm all about honesty and truth.
I'm staggered really, because several times across the album I've wondered, based off the lyrics, the music, and the melodies and stuff like that. Oh my goodness, could this be performed live? And in my head I think, okay, well, maybe you'll be able to find a way to detach yourself from the reality of it when it comes to something like that, and see it more as a performance. But I have no idea if that's the case. Is there any particular track, say, on the album that, not saying that you wouldn't not think that you could perform live, but that you even looked at the lyric content and thought, okay, this will be tough going forward?
Yeah, but there's a run of there's a run of 4 songs from.
Mm.
It goes from Still Haunted to Love You Left Behind to Noble Bloom into Hail Mary. And those 4 songs, like Hail Mary, is about my parents back in Ireland going through physical, emotional, and sexual abuse at school. They were at schools in Ireland, in monasteries and convents. um, taught by nuns and monks, and they were physically, emotionally, and sexually abused by them. And you know, fortunately, that hasn't directly happened to me, but I've gone through the process of church hurt, and that's incredibly emotional. And all of that's kind of wrapped up in that song, and that's it's a very personal song for me. And when we released that just under a year ago now, as part of the album process. But people were telling me that I was wrong, and it's like, well, no, this is what has happened. I'm telling you a story. You can't deny the truth that has happened to me and my family and my, and friends. So that was very hard. And then when you look at the run of those four songs, all of them are just on the nose. This is a trauma that has happened. It's so acute, and you're listening to it back to back. And when we were looking at the album list, we were like, I don't know if we can put these four songs together. They sound like they should go together, but emotionally, I think people are going to need a break listening to this record.
I get, yeah, I get that, but I guess also, I mean, once you know what you're listening to and what you're
Yeah,
experiencing, it becomes a totally different thing. Then you want to almost sit and sink and then experience it in that way. At least that was from my perspective. I can't tell
yeah.
anybody else how they would listen to it, of course. Um, but what I've been taking away, I've taken what I've taken away from it, and many others will as well. Do you have a particular thing that you just maybe hope or would like listeners overall to take away from the album?
So I mean, well, okay. So when we released Hail Mary as a prime example, we did that as part of this album cycle, but we'd done it with the knowledge that we were going back to America to tour,
Yeah.
and we knew it was going to be I'd say a controversial topic, but it ended up being controversial for the wrong for a
Mm.
different reason to what I thought it was going to be. Um, and we were going back into a scene where people were going to be coming to our shows and listening to this song for and it was a collaboration with Convictions, that the band we were on tour with, and we saw a lot of like negative comments online about religious theology and so on and so forth, but none of them came to the shows. The people that came to the shows were coming up to the merch table and they were talking to me about the church hurt, the physical, emotional, and sexual abuse that they had personally witnessed and that had happened to them, and they were sharing their stories. And I tell you now, there wasn't a dry eye a single night of that tour because of what people were saying at the shows. And I was like, this is making me want to be even more dogmatic about my approach to being as honest as possible and being as emotionally charged as I can be, because this is obviously resonating with people. And the more you pour yourself in, the more the people are going to go, oh, I feel that. And I feel heard, I feel seen, and I feel like I can connect with these people. And one of the best parts about being on tour and being in a band is being able to stand with somebody that listens to your music and talk about how things have changed for them, or how much it's helped them or it's resonated with them. It sounds cliche, but it's the reason why I get up in the morning and write more lyrics, and I want to keep this going because people genuinely care. So yeah, it's more of that. And we've played Still Haunted and Noble Bloom once, and that was in Sweden. And
Mm.
we had a little bit of that there as well. But the song had been out, I think, like 2 days at that point. So
Yeah.
it's one of those ones where it's like, okay, this is brand new, and we've never been to Sweden before, but they're singing the lyrics back, and you're feeling, and you're like, oh, the energy is here. So it is really, really incredible to be able to see that kind of. I guess it makes it tangible, doesn't it?
Yeah, and your authenticity would be you'd be caught out so quickly, right? In scenarios like that. If you're standing there and you're not being true to yourself and someone's discussing these things with you,
Yeah.
you're going to fall apart, right?
Oh yeah, you're going to be called out immediately. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, did you? Yo, you wrote this just for the sake of writing an emotional song. It's like, no, these are true stories. Like I can give you the background on them, and it's like, there's a reason why Jack is not here. It's because he's looking after his mum, and it's like
Mhm.
it's stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, and that's what you want to do. Is you want to be as authentic as possible.
I cannot wait to see a couple of months down the line when the album has been out for a while. People have really, really got to grips, have really spent time with it, and just what those shows are gonna be like compared to what you've been experiencing so far with the singles that have been out there. It seems like it's going to be such an incredible time, and I want the album to be super successful. I don't know what that means anymore because success is measured in unusual and different ways.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of what success might look like for the album?
I mean, that's such a broad question. Like you're saying, like success is, the goalposts have changed now. Like
Mm.
I was saying the other day, it's like if you had said to me when we'd released "Punishing Myself Before God Does," our last record in 2022, that we would be signed to a record label, going back over to America for the third time on a headline tour, playing multiple European and UK festivals, having played Download Festival, having charted on the Billboard charts on 4 separate charts, I would have laughed at you because I was like, that's just not stuff that you do. But no, this is now our world. This is the
Yeah.
world that we live in, where we're like, I was saying to the guys, like, I wonder where we chart this time, or like, I wonder, and it's like, oh, if we make the charts again, it's like these are like this wasn't even a thought before. Now it's like I really hope that, we're able to replicate the same success. Like, an example for us is like, we're going out to America in well, I think it's 5 weeks time. It's our
Mm.
first headline tour. This is a a humongous, just to have gone over to America is a tremendous achievement. But to go over and headline and have bands from the States supporting us, wild. What I pinch myself every day when I think about it. And I'm there going, okay, well, this for me is a measure of success. It's like, okay, we've gone from being in a country where you've never been to as a band before. It is considered to be the mecca of touring. Like once you get over to America, you're a big famous band now. It's like that's not really the case, but it's like, well, we're chucking ourselves at it, and it's like, oh no, they want us to headline.
Mm.
Okay, that's a really tangible show of progression. So for us, I think you can look at your Spotify numbers. Our Spotify numbers are the biggest they've ever been, and I wake up and I go, I listen to bands that I'm like massive fans of, and like our streaming numbers are kind of bigger than theirs now, and it is very humbling because I don't know where to go with it because we're in a digital world where you can see everything and how you're performing,
Mm.
and you're like, okay, and you can see the ticket sales for America. It's like, oh, we're selling. Oh, okay, that's really cool. And then, like I was saying to you before, like, I've got boxes of pre-order merch. People have people have bought, like, they care enough to have
Yeah.
pre-ordered it, and you know, yeah, it's just very, very exciting. So there is no one metric that I will say that I can say to you where I'll go, yeah, yeah, that's how I know it's successful. But right now, if you measure it off the back of the last record, yeah, we're already doing better than we were the time that we released Punishing Myself Before God Does. So at this stage, I'm very optimistic. As you can probably tell, I'm a very positive, optimistic person, and I'm just excited to be in the moment.
Good, and I'm glad to hear that, and I hope you get to continue enjoying the ride to the build and what follows as well. I can sense your enthusiasm. It comes through
Yeah.
strongly for the American tour, but I just want to mention as well because I'm in London and you are in London. Of course, May 31st, album release
Yes.
show at the 229, which is going to be incredible. Yeah, we've gone over. We've gone 10 minutes over, so I think we better wrap this up and let you go on with the rest of your evening. Just to remind everybody, This Pain Will Save You is out on May 16th, 2025 via Facedown Records, an album of the year contender. But I'll let you make up your
Stop
own
it.
mind.
Stop it.
Steve, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, mate, and I appreciate you talking to me today.
Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.